You're with the Breaker-Leggers, and it is press night here at the Nottingham Playhouse.
For the brand new play, Shebeen.
So stay tuned to find out how many legs...
Whether it's break a leg
or leg it. Before you brilliant people go any further,
to make sure you've always got your finger on the theatrical pulse,
for honest theatre reviews, news and interviews,
hit subscribe now.
Hit subscribe now, comment below about any theatre you are passionate about, including this production or other theatre you're seeing.
Yeah, so this is a brand new play which has been especially commissioned by the Nottingham Playhouse, written by Nottingham writer Mufaro Makubika.
Okay.
And the play shines a light on the challenges of immigrants from the West Indies who travelled to the UK in the 1940s and 50s and have come to be known as the Windrush generation.
Now, talk about topical. This year specifically, a spotlight has been cast on the Windrush generation and the nightmare that has ensued about them being deported from the country and not being able to gain entry back again.
Yes, so basically Windrush comes from the name of the first ship which brought immigrants from the West Indies in 1948 to the UK 70 years ago now, and basically the UK government were trying to fill deficits in the population by encouraging people to come from Commonwealth countries to add skills to the nation. Now, these people that came over, these fantastically talented communities that came over and were given right to be here in 1971 for an indefinite leave of basically however long they wanted to be. But as a typical example of the UK government making a total hash of everything, no records were kept on who these people were. So it's now the fact that they are being told they shouldn't be here, which is an absolute outrage.
It's just a big mess. A big mess. Anyway,
absolute mess.
This piece shines a spotlight on the communities that are around at the time.
Yeah, and as Shebeen itself was sort of like an underground club, these communities faced a huge amount of
discrimination.
Discrimination and
racist abuse.
Yeah, and
all
were
sorts.
forced to sort of huddle together and not mix and integrate into larger community, which is a real issue. And I'm so looking forward to learning a little bit more about it here in this play.
Cast. Who do we know that's in this?
Well, the cast includes Karl in the role of George. Karl is best known recently for playing Lewis Loveday in the UK soap opera Hollyoaks, and playing the role of Pearl. We have Martina Laird. Now, Martina portrayed the role of Comfort Newton in the TV drama Casualty for 207 episodes.
Okay, Director.
Yeah, Matthew Zia. You know where we saw him?
Yes, now he directed Blue Orange at the Young Vic that we caught a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
before
2015.
We did reviews, unfortunately, but that was a fantastic piece.
It really was. I'm really excited about this, and it's got personal resonance for you as well, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Runtime, 2 hours and 5 minutes, including a 20-minute interval, so we'll be catching up with you there, and stay tuned to find out how many legs. We've come to the interval of Shebeen at the Nottingham Playhouse, which means it's time for the Breaker-Leggers 30-second interval breakdown.
Go! What do you think so far?
Yeah, there's sort of nothing new here. It's kind of a race relationship story, and one that we've seen done before. That being said, seeing it with an audience with a lot of diversity is making me quite uncomfortable, and it's very thought-provoking. I'm interested to see what happens. What about you?
I think it's really nice insight into a community that I don't know much about. It's been really well performed. It's been kind of moving along quite nice, but a really gripping end to the first act. I'm intrigued. We've come to the end of Shebeen, so what did you make of that?
I always say that theatre is a portal. It's a portal into other people's lives. It's a portal into communities, into places of the world. And I think that this is a really, and I bound the word vital around quite often, but it's a vital piece of shameful history that actually I think deserves to be seen, appreciated, and talked about. I think as a conversation starter, this is probably one of the most important pieces of theatre that I've seen this year.
Wow. Okay, I've got to say that I really loved it come the end for those exact exact same reasons. It made me feel uncomfortable to know that this is a part of British history that isn't like that far away.
It's recent
within
history.
I mean, okay, so we said at the beginning that I've got a bit of an attachment to this, so I guess...
you do, and I think we must say that the piece at its heart is about an interracial relationship and about culture being brought into an environment where it's not the norm. And that is what the piece is about. But yes, talk about your attachment to this.
Well, I guess in a way, because my grandparents, my granddad was part of that Windrush generation. He's from Jamaica, and he came over at that time. So I am...
And fell in love with someone of a different race.
A white woman from France. And they talked quite often about when they were trying to get accommodation.
In the UK.
In the UK, saying, no dogs, no Irish and no black people. And this was just something I grew up with. And it's like, yeah, whatever. But this happened. This happens. And you can understand, I work with a lot of young people who have a lot of problems within their communities. And they talk about a lot of discord between them and authority. And this is where it stems from. The systemic racial hatred and the... among the systems within communities, within the police force towards the black community, not just black community, because Windrush generation was also people from India, other countries and Commonwealth countries. So, but this is a shameful piece of history, and this piece really amplifies and echoes that. People want to get along, they're smoothing over the cracks, trying to get along, do what they can do, set up home, and yet no matter how hard they try, if the system is broken and against them, eventually
they're going to
something's going to break.
Absolutely.
And that shows what this is.
Yes.
Good people invited here, but if it's not set up, something's going to give.
And I think it's very clever that Adam Penford should commission this piece, the Nottingham Playhouse should commission this piece as a local piece. It's set in Nottingham, so you've got a lot of local humour and familiarity. The audience that we saw tonight was made up of people that are local black community people, and you could feel the tension. It was palpable.
The empathy
absolutely.
And the understanding, yeah.
And just that's the unfortunate thing, that fact that it was relatable for them, and which is a tragedy in itself. And do you know what? We're still not there. Even 70 years later, this piece was set 60 years ago in 1958, and things have moved on, but there's still a distance to go.
And if you just think of what has actually happened to that Windrush generation now, not only is it bad enough what they've had to live through, but now they're having to go through the torment of deportation
and rehashing all of those problems that we thought we'd moved on from.
Get it right.
I've got to say, very cleverly observed writing by Mufaro Makubika, and also really skillful and sympathetic direction by Matthew Zia.
Yeah, both of them. I've got to say, it comes from a real place of intelligence, this writing. I think he really understands the subject matter. It's not a long piece, and yet you really buy into and understand this community through the first act and the love they have for each other and the respect of a different culture, but presented in a really nice light.
In the character of George, played by Karl Collins, there's a very strong link here to the ferryman, about someone trying to escape their past. He is somebody that is, he's accomplished a lot in his life, but his wife has begged him to be something different, to almost assimilate into a community that doesn't really accept his past, and she wants that. She wants to live the dream. It's her dream to be in Britain and to tick along in community and just get on and earn a bit of money. But he's struggling to let go of his past, and by the end of it, I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but the end scene is very similar to the final scene of The Ferryman, where you can't be untrue to who you truly are.
So I guess we're going on to performances now,
yes.
Right? I've got to say, part that stole it for me.
Yeah.
You found it.
Pearl. The role of Pearl, played by Martina Laird. Now, honest to God, I think this will establish her, or could establish her, as one of the finest character actresses that we have in this country. The way she embodied that role in a totally believable and all-encompassing manner was extraordinary. Absolutely.
I couldn't take my eyes off her. Right from the word go. Talk about a journey that she goes on, and I was with everything. Like, she was hope, she wanted support for her partner, trying to keep everything together, having to sacrifice her own integrity for love, and it's just so good. It's such a good piece of writing. Now we talk about the writing, to have such a strong female black character at the heart of it is not something you get to see every day. So in terms of diverse writing, it is fantastic, and she was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, she's now
brilliant.
For me one of those actresses that I am going to keep an eye on. I am going to follow her. I want to know what she's doing next, and I want to see. That girl has got some chops, and I want to see them.
Some chops, and you want to see them.
Yeah.
Just really fantastic. She's had some great credits. Because being a TV actor, you often forget that actually
you get typecast.
But
that's
good.
the risk.
That's the risk of it, and she's just so good.
She's so.
There are some
so
other
good.
very good members of the company
Yeah,
as well.
we must mention Chloe Harris in the role of Mary.
Yep.
She plays the white lover of a black man, and how that is, difficult and challenging, and
played with real truth.
Just wants to love and be loved, and that is a universal theme that she is denied in this piece, and that is a real tragedy for her, but played really well.
Also, Ernest, I've got to say.
Comic relief.
The part of Ernest, again, a real nice dynamic
Played
there.
by Roland Bell, fantastic comic timing. He did Memphis, so we would have seen him in that. But yeah, he was great.
Yeah, really, really nice
and
stuff.
And also Hazel Ellaby doesn't come in until the second act.
A really good cameo.
Yeah, really.
Oh my goodness.
She comes in sort of halfway through the second act, and their second act is
a
quite
very short scene,
but
really.
She's punchy. She makes a statement in that short
boy,
time.
do you hate her character as well. And again, it's just so amazing that this stuff actually happened.
Yeah.
And she really is the voice of the community at that time.
She's the voice of the era and the period, and do you know what? And the embarrassment that we now feel.
Okay, anything else we should mention?
I'd just say the lighting was beautiful.
Set was great
Kieran
as well.
Cunningham on lighting. Set was perfectly pitched. Totally. I was in that living room with them. It's a single set, but I was absolutely there. And that was Grace Smart, designer.
Yeah, some really nice stuff. Anything else from Creatives or Company?
It was all great. I mean, sound, some great use of music. Got to say, if they released an album of the music in this, I think it would go down really well. I want to put a playlist together. It's calypso. It's very sort of. I just loved it. Harry Belafonte. Great.
Okay, so you're probably wondering how many legs we are going to give this piece.
Well, for Shebeen, playing at the Nottingham Playhouse, we are going to give 4
legs for this piece. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Now, I did feel as if it was sagging halfway through the first act for me, but like most pieces of theatre, you've got to see it through to the end.
Yes.
It's all part of the setup. Come the end, you realise and you understand how essential it is for the whole piece, and it was all essential. But a really important piece of theatre, performed extremely well.
Absolutely. For me, it wasn't anything particularly original. Like, there are themes in this that I've seen done time and time again. It was sort of treading old ground for me. But it's got to be said, doing that very, very well. And as mentioned, importantly, I think that you owe it to yourself to see this and to be welcomed into a community that you maybe don't know everything there is to know about.
Theatre is there to disturb you,
and challenge
you, push you out of your comfort zone, to have conversations and to enlighten you to history. And this is important history that everyone should know about. This is an educational feast.
But that's just what we think.
Just what we think.
What do you think? Have you seen this piece? Let us know below. We'd love to hear from you. Or maybe there's something else that you think is similar that you've had an experience with.
What's moved you?
Yeah, let us know that too. We're the Breaker-Leggers.
And we'll catch you again soon. Bye.